Well, greetings everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of MBTV News. If perchance you're watching live, which not many of you do, in fact, probably none of you will be, but we just had two very short false starts, so apologies for that. But we're now stable, and YouTube is behaving, and we're about to go
Stable in
live.
video, stable in terms of video, maybe not mentally stable, but
Yeah, well, yeah, stop being rude. Of course, I'm not mentally stable, but I'm doing this program. What do you think?
that's right. We are in VR.
If I was a stable mind, I would not be doing this show, or would
True.
I? I don't know. I think I recently got invaded by one of these sort of little insects called an AI. And it's been playing a bit of havoc with all the old perceptions and stuff.
Yeah.
So, maybe making me feel a little unstable. I think we one should ban AIs, I think. If you have never heard of an AI, it's a really irritating thing. It really is. Um, sort of about as attractive as a spider, really.
Sure.
Rather akin to a spider in many respects. But we won't go there
Nope.
because we're not ready for the rabbit hole yet.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
Okay, welcome everybody. I'm going to sort of start again. This show, MBTV News. This is where we look at virtual worlds, immersive experiences online, and some of the tech that we use to access these things. A lot of the technology, of course, has a lot in common with gaming technology. So there's a bit of overlap, but generally speaking, we don't live in helmet land. Well, I don't. James does. Come to that in a minute. Right. My name is Mal Burns, by the way. You can usually find me on Twitter. In fact, I believe you can still find me on Twitter, but I can't find myself on Twitter. Elon Musk has a lot to answer for this week. But I will say that if you go to twitter.com/malburns, all one word, MALBURNS, you will hopefully get most of the links I'm talking about to one form or another. And you can click on them and get to the actual pages. I'm just going to be doing a general rundown this week anyway, and probably for in future weeks, so that's sort of thing anyway. So yeah, I have a Mastodon. Well, I have two Mastodon feeds. You can find at Mal Burns at Vivol, yeah, vivaldisocial.net
Oh.
and at MetaWorld at Mastodon, whatever it is.
Yeah. I don't have a lower third for that Vivaldi one. I'll have to
No,
get
no,
that.
well, don't worry about it. I've got five
Okay.
more to it, so I'm
Oh. Okay.
just making a sort of general introduction. So one way or another, the Mastodon feeds get to Twitter, which is actually a way around the fact that when I go to Twitter, I get an alert saying you can't post. But on the other hand, if I let my Mastodon robot do the posting for me, well, then it needs to be accepting it. So we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I mean, although the trouble is, if I figure out something tomorrow or Tuesday, by next Sunday, Elon Musk will have done something else to fuck me up. So, is it worth
Yep.
it?
Yep.
Since Lord Zuckerberg is not even allowing me to get to into my Instagram account, and I cannot actually use Threads any other way, then that's not an option either. Although I've now got it on good authority that the people who rushed in to get a Threads account may live to regret it. um, I won't go into all that. So a lot of it is very sort of technical, but and a lot of people are saying, well, if there's one thing Zuckerberg does know, that's advertising. Elon Musk, of course, knows nothing about advertising. He just knows how to put money from one place to another. But anyway, so all is not well on this sort of social network front, and obviously Facebook is a social network, and one would expect Threads to be like Instagram itself, an extension of that, a social, you me conversation place. Twitter was never a social network. I was a beta tester. And it was simply for broadcasting, sharing links with other people. You formed a group and whatever. And actually, it was so compelling that us beta testers on Twitter came into Second Life, which was new at the time, and created a weekly meetup for us Twitter users, of which there are you could count them on your hand in those days. People are quite well known people, of course, who now disappeared all over the place. They're still on Twitter, most of them. Um, but that was what it's about, I would person A and person B. I would send a tweet with a link, and they would get in and say, "Oh, thanks for that link. That's interesting." They wouldn't say that live on Twitter. They'd be busy posting links back to me that they think I should look at. That was what it was all about. It wasn't a social network per se. It was a social link exchange, for possibly, if or even a professional link exchange. Forget the social. It was something else, and it's a shame because it now doesn't resemble that at all. Anyway, enough of the rabbit holing. James is in a bit of a rush today, so I promised he could get off to his party quickly. So what am I doing?
Explaining
Yeah,
Twitter, right?
no, I am doing sort of. There is a phrase that's going around these days, which is called mansplaining.
Oh, yes.
So
Yeah,
ladies
that's
and
good.
gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, mansplaining.
Mousesplaining. I like it.
Yeah, so do I. So, any complaints? Address them to the Oxford English Dictionary, I think. Never
Sounds good.
mind. I've got to get going, haven't I?
Yeah.
Okay, I've got the website preview up on screen. This is somewhere we always start. It's actually the Scarred Ghost. We've got a sound effect for him too. Yeah,
Did it
maybe we
go?
don't.
Oh.
No, it didn't go today.
Oh.
Anyway, I can do it instead.
I restarted and everything. Oh, well.
Anthony Vitillo, Italian chap, blogger. He has a site called scarghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com. And at the beginning of every week, he does the week P, which you can see in front of you here. And he just does a roundup of everything that's happened in the previous week, which is sort of what we do, except that this one from him is for the week before, the week that's just gone by that we're doing. But if you go to his site tomorrow or Tuesday, you'll probably find another new edition, so covering the same period I'm covering now. So he's looking at Marvel Studios, immersive realities, Samsung, Google, you name it, they're in there. Always heavily illustrated. Uh, we knew this last week on the show. Actually, Apple Vision headset is being definitely delayed um, uh, because of assembly and cost problems, I gather. Um, Meta's in talks with Tencent to distribute Quest in China. Really? Really? It's probably the right place to send it, really. Send it to China and then we can forget about it. We can legislate in the West against it. Sorry, newsworthy mention. Oh yeah, Xreal is close to selling an awful lot of devices, despite the fact that I can't get it in the UK yet. This is the thing I really want, but of course this is a Chinese manufacturer too. And it's odd. I would have thought it more likely to get a Chinese device into the UK than into the US, but it seems it's the other way around. Okay, I forget what the Vision Pro, famous on Quest Pro. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. There is a blog somewhere about some. Oh yeah, Roblox. The not really a virtual world. It's more of a well, it sort of is. Is actually available on Zuckerberg's Quest. So there is various questions about it and its fidelity in that particular headset. But yeah. A huge sphere made of LEDs erected in Los Angeles. People didn't know it was coming, and they woke up in the morning and it was there. Very impossible to miss, apparently. It's cost 2.3 billion to put it up, and it's a huge sphere. Majestic effects on the skyline. But for what reason it's been put up, I don't know. But Las Vegas, being the money gambling capital of the world, has probably got a law unto itself. Yeah, Meta are doing a fund. Gosh golly, Pico are introducing a referral scheme. Blah blah blah. I'll let you read this because I'm really going back a whole week there. So if you want this, go to Scarred Ghost, SKARREDGHOST.com, and check that one out. Oh, and yeah,
It's back.
the
Yep.
ghost is back. Yeah.
Yep.
drowning me out. Very good. Okay, so moving on from that one, which is I think, as I said, I am quite quick this week with code, partly on short on links and partly on the absence of recording them into Twitter. Korg, my keyboard here, my
Mm-hmm.
music keyboard here is Korg. I like Korg. Um, they've just launched a futuristic music studio inside VR. So I don't know whether any of you follow our in-world review program know that we had somebody in not Second Life, sorry, Open Sim, who created a whole instrument that is full of constructs in the virtual world and a sort of keyboard that actually plays them, elementary. But yeah, basically the core gadget, which you can now, well, it's been on iPad for a while. You can now get it on VR headsets, and including they say Nintendo Switch, which is a curious one. But on my iOS and Mac, it was where it was originally appeared. Um, but presumably you might even be able to get it in the Zuckerberg contraption or one of them. Um, Anyway, this gives you a vague idea, picture-wise. You know, the whole environment is 3D. So if you actually want to play your piano, let's see if we can get this to work. It's a bit right, not easily. Never mind. We tried.
I have a Korg app I really enjoy. It's called K-Oscillator, and it's on my mobile, and it's a great little synthesizer sequencer. Very easy to
Yeah.
use. Yeah.
Okay. Don't know what to do about this. I don't like embed codes that come like this. Watch on YouTube. Come on, there's got to be a way around. You've got to be able to get me to YouTube. It doesn't want to do it, does it?
Nope.
Uh, oh, something happened. Or maybe just okay. I think their embed code there is a bit faulty. In fact, I'm pretty sure that if it was correct, I would already have picked it up and downloaded it. So there you go. Anyway, you'll find this article at VR Scout, another regular site, vrscout.com, and they're talking about it, all about it. It's got that kind of arcadey feel by the look of it, but it's all music orientated, and you move around in VR, and you play the keyboards and the various instruments in there. It's available now on PC VR. Oh, it is on MetaQuest 2 and MetaQuest Pro, and $29.99 US is a good price, if you ask me. Very affordable, I would have thought, for anybody into music. Okay, including James, I hope.
Yep.
Well worth checking out.
You bet.
Okay, so as I say, vrscout.com for that one. Okay, this is readwrite.com, readwrite.com. They've got a major feature here on the European Union leading the metaverse revolution and taking on big tech. Well, I can understand in taking on big tech, especially Apple, Microsoft, Twitter. They don't mention Twitter, but also Meta. Um, and they've got a bold plan to, rein in the communications uh, companies, the social network companies that are big tech, or, companies in their larger umbrella, so to speak. They want to foster a metaverse that is open, interoperable, and reflective of EU values. The only problem of this is that outside of the EU, they don't necessarily have much power to do anything. They at the moment they have been finding people like Facebook, and I think for the sake of it, Facebook have been coughing up um, large amounts, but that won't go on forever. And there are companies that will say, "Well, sorry, we're not available in the EU," and Facebook's new Matter, Threads thing. is a classic example. You can get it in Britain here, and you can get it in the States. But if you even if you've got it on your phone, it will stop working the moment you cross the channel into France and anywhere in the EU. They won't let it be used there, and subject to negotiations. So it's not as quite the global thing it might be. The other thing that always confuses me is I've got to admit, it's like the World Economic Forum. They are all very well meaning and I actually would support them, but I think neither of them really have quite. They know the issues, but they don't really have an understanding of what the metaverse as a global concept is. So you do find that the word metaverse pops up in what I consider to be, rather odd um, parts of sentences. Anyway, find all about this here. It's a good read. Anyway, readwrite.com is where the summary is, and I think they've got a link to some extra material at the EU sites. So it's readwrite.com, readwrite.com for that one. And right, this week in XR, this is the wordy version of Charlie Fink's roundup of the week. This comes out. This is July 13th, so it's that Friday. Basically, it comes out. Talking about Musk launching XAI. Yeah, despite Twitter losing money like who knows what, Musk has actually launched a new company called X.ai. And he wants apparently to know the secrets of the universe, like he wants to set an AI onto sort of abstracting God for him or something. As usual, great aspirations, but I don't think even his hero Tesla got around to that one. Anyway, a four-letter word, Threads, was blasted off, and Roblox has launched in VR, and of course that, if I've got that right, um, yeah, well, this is more about everything that's in the title anyway. But yeah, there he goes. Oh, yeah, the denizens of Roblox, they're not too bad. I mean, at least they got legs, and some of them look human.
Pretty good for the most active platform on the net.
Yeah, and yeah, it will be available for Quest users within weeks.
Yep.
So presumably it's not quite there yet, but that again is something I imagine people are going to be jumping on to put them in their Zuckerberg helmet. So, Adobe Firefly has gone global. This is something that it generates images for you. It's been hugely popular because they've integrated it into Photoshop, Express, and Illustrator,
Yeah.
which of course are
Yeah.
big Adobe platforms. But Firefly is AI again. They've done all the training exclusively on their own library of licensed content, so they're able to identify users for copyright infringement if there is any. But yeah, and they're a bit ahead of the industry on this, they'd say. But I've always loved Adobe, and I'm slightly disgusted that they've transitioned so much of their R&D into AI. And I keep wondering, artists use Photoshop, and if they've got a filter in there that can do their work for them, um, then they can't sell the work because it would have been done for them by AI.
Oh.
And well, there might be instances where they can, but
Well, they've always had clip art. I mean, and you can use clip art and put that into your little product as a component. I don't think that's
oh,
too bad.
yeah, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I mean, if it's like stock image libraries, you can pay a flat fee and have access to all the images,
Mm-hmm.
and that can including them using them commercially. And I see that all the while. You see particular graphics in magazines that are about technology and things. You look at the picture and think, I've seen that before somewhere. And in fact,
Yeah.
they haven't just nicked it from another blog. It's actually an image that comes from an image library. To save people actually paying up to have their own illustrations done for them. But fair enough, you have a point. But it just seems to me that buying images that you can use in Photoshop and touch up and so on is one thing, but having the AI sort of do half the work for you, yeah, I'm not going rabbit hole anymore, but
Yeah, yeah, fair
I know a
enough.
lot of creators have thoughts on this, and they're not really happy about it, David.
I've got a lot of projects that have their origin in clip art, and then I modify it and change it. So it's
Yeah, well, that's I think is fair enough. I mean, there's no such thing as originality. I used to do a lot of photo montages in Photoshop,
yeah, yep.
and I would get lots of different components from other places, stick them together, cut them out like a montage, and then the thing I love doing is actually turning what maybe started as semi-photographic montage into a painting.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would go over the lines to so that it had the impression of brushstrokes rather than whatever.
Oh, absolutely right.
So yeah, it was it's the starting point, so that was fine, I think. But so much AI stuff looks like an end result, and although it's usually pretty damned obvious, it's too
Yeah, it's
slick.
very
it,
obvious.
it
Yep.
is just too slick now to think that only a machine could possibly have done that well. Anyway, yeah, this is I don't even know what anthropathic. Oh yeah, more an AI chatbot boss on the phone. I'm busy. I'm busy trying to get rid of chatbots that seem to be installing themselves willy
Hmm.
nilly in my browsers and on my phone. I didn't invite them. But it seems like every service, like WhatsApp and things, has got a built-in chatbot now.
Yep.
It's on by default. It's hard to switch these things off. Um, okay, medical chatbots from Google. Okay, you get the idea. So, Charlie Fink's Roundup. Now, you'll find this at Forbes.com, Forbes.com. If you go there too often, you'll be hit by that firewall. You can often try XR Today and a few other places that do reprints it a bit later. And if you subscribe to in a newsreader, you find that the censorship doesn't affect the news feeders rendering of the articles. So uh, uh, that's where to look for it anyway. Okay, next one is roadtovr.com, another good old familiar site here. And there you see the web page, rapidly replaced by my reader. And Valve's Index headset is sales are waning after 3 years of surprising longevity. Valve Index is, mind you, the still the best-selling bar the Meta contraption in the field. They wanted to set a goal for PCVR headsets to beat. It's got about $1,000 price tag, and it's quite aged now, but it remains the second most used headset on Steam at 18.38% of active headsets. It's still a distant cousin, unfortunately, to Quest 2, which of course is a four-letter word, um, as of June this year. Um, but it does mean the value of Valve, no play on words intended there, is actually quite high. But as you can see, there is the four-letter word, people, and there is poor old Valve. But it's still ahead of HTC and others. Yeah, so there you go. Basically, that's a long article and analysing that piece of news. So Valve's headset is waning, but it's still high up there. Surprising longevity. Right. Remove item. Two more to go here. Right. Big XR news from European Commission, NHS, that's Britain's National Health Service, Vuvix, and SNC Lava. This is xrtoday.com, xrtoday.com. And they have a weekly big news roundup and often a video news roundup too, which I think we got coming up. Um, Okay, industrial metaverse is inbound, say the European Commission, ground forecast, enterprise and consumer and users interested in blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to read it all out. Europe regulations coming in again. I like this phrase, they've actually adjusted it to industrial metaverse and
Hmm.
virtual human twins. Also, talking to a National Health Service nurse who speaks on first hand VR experience. Um, which is sort of interesting, but maybe not as encouraging as you might think. And they were running pilots in cities like Well, I think Kidderminster is more of a town, Um, it's like universal basic income. The British government are prototyping that in two small towns somewhere in the country, and but um, you have to have a much grander scope to actually see whether something works or not. But anyway, good luck to pilots in Kidderminster. Pilot. Um, What's the word? I'm not talking about airplane pilots anyway. Right. The pilot has been a success, and it's been approved for four more VR headsets for permanent use in Worcester hospitals, Worcestershire acute hospitals. Okay, and they're going to play with other headsets, I guess. That's the story. Okay, Vuzix is saying the smart glass is revolutionary for medical uses, and HoloLens being used in nuclear power plants. Well, as long as you can see properly, no mistakes going to happen there, are there? Good. Right. Okay. So that's the roundup from xrtoday.com. xrtoday.com. My final actual bona fide web link here is from the vrara.com. THEVRARA. And that news is that there's been a few other places now too. Sony are actually investing $2 billion into XR research and development. Uh, Sony have always been at the front end of the immersive media stuff. I mean, they made PlayStations, which are ahead of their time and more popular than any other. They certainly know about the 3D world and that sort of stuff. And um, I don't think they've ever really done glasses or anything that might, sort of qualify as extended reality. But I think anything they do that ties in with PlayStation or plugs into PlayStation will be a hit because that is already a huge, huge market that has never faded at all. It sort of seems to, the PlayStation crowd just gets a bit bigger all the while and runs parallel with everything else. Plus, of course, you've got to remember that Epic Games and other people have been developing the games and software for Sony for a while. So the main thing here, I think, is the amount of Sony money Sony are going to put into it. It will probably be then repaid to development houses and stuff who actually do the work, but still major investment. Okay, so I can put that one away, and we're finished with the regular thing. Now, I haven't got any individual links this week. There are a couple on my Twitter feed, but I can easily summarize here. Um, Not much has been happening at voicesofvr.com recently until this week.
Hmm.
July 13th, particularly. We have a load of them. I think there's about 20 or so. Almost all of them are to do with accessibility, disability, and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, Blind and low vision challenges was the theme of the most latest one. The one before that talks about head mounted AR as an assistive technology for blind and low vision users. Before that, we had geospatial browsing, augmented reality featuring Google Maps with screen reader support. Before that, the intersection of AI and spatial computing for XR accessibility, talking with Mozilla's Liv Erickson. She's she's been around in the most polite way. Um, Low vision VR design innovations, XR accessibilities with Alchemy Labs. You can see the current theme here. Basically, the whole series of talks, podcasts here are largely on the same theme with different people. XR accessibility insights from a government contractor and augmented reality as assistive technology. Heading on down, captioning for XR accessibility, then career exploration for accessibility. Different guests in each of these. XR accessibility and public policy. And this was on July the 12th. So all those were on July 13th. So the day before July the 12th, he started it off with a journey of making XR accessible with XR Access COO Dylan Fox. And I don't think there was one on this subject before that, but anyway. The easiest way to do this is to go to voicesofvr.com, VOICESOFVR.com. And you'll get this page, and you can scroll down the list and go through them as you want, pick and choose, or even do the whole lot in order. I would add that if you look up Voices of VR on virtually any podcast version, you will get the audio version of these anyway. And to be honest, when you click through and get the video versions, they're actually simply the audio version with a couple of screens to make you, to tell you what the audio is about. But there's no intrinsic video in these as a rule. Right, so I'll leave that around for next week. So I'm quickly going to toggle. All change with my display systems here. I've started off with the display system I usually use. And this is the same page in another browser in the reader view, basically. Um, Moving on, however, oh yeah, this is a web page for people. The Hypergrid. The Hypergrid is an interoperable system for Second Life type grids. The OpenSim is a sort of cousin of Second Life. Second Life itself isn't on it; it's a walled garden. But anyway, for the international, particularly European side of things, there's going to be a 3-day multi-language summit on October 6th to the 8th, 2023. And this, I'm not going to show you the rest of the web page because it's not actually finished for public consumption yet, but I thought that was a rather good logo to stick up there for you. And moving on, I did say that I have an account with Mastodon, which basically we send all the long form videos there, and they get posted on the feed of Mastodon, but they also go, when everything's working properly, they go through to Twitter as well. So if you follow me on Twitter, you'll get these automatically. And I'm pleased to say that Mastodon reposts have been going through to Twitter okay. It's just, it's not allowing me to post to Twitter direct. So I'm having to stick the posts elsewhere and rely on the robots to do the work that apparently I'm not allowed to do anymore. Thank you, Mr. Musk. Okay, scrolling down to see what we got this week. Anyway, the latest up, literally yesterday. This is awkward. It sort of chops off halfway as I scroll. I knew there'd be a problem with doing it this way. Okay, at least they're big size. This was F Reality. They're looking mostly at games and stuff like that. Oh, hang on. It came up twice, and this embed's actually got a bit more information. They go on an adventure to hunt down the rarest and most unique VR headsets out there, ultra premium models with outrageous etc. prices or whatever. So that was their theme this week. Kept by oh right, two Voices of VR did get through. It's a good job too because there were actually far too many to tweet individually. But as you can see, the first one of that set got sent straight up independently. And yeah, there we go again. That's just the 15 cover images from a series on XR accessibility. So those are all the cover images from his latest podcast. In fact, I will just come here. There we are. That's the actual display of all the cover images from the latest one there. Right, moving back. Scrolling down again. This is a good one. Between Realities had Ashley Riot, I guess, of Andromeda Entertainment. She's good. That was their guest on the latest show. Long introductions. Where are we? Oh,
Me that you were taking, but
I don't know. If you were going, like, Steve, let's go to Nintendo World. Couldn't have.
right, there she is.
It was really fun. It was really cool.
That's amazing. That's such a big accomplishment. To become a citizen of a country is not easy.
Actually, it's probably not worth me actually doing this. All of these seem to have come up double this week, in fact. So one shows the embedded video, and the other one shows the embedded the illustration for the video with a summary. I think this is what happened when I started fiddling with my robots. I think two of them are trying to do the same thing in a slightly different way, but we'll sort it out for you later. Okay, as usual, this week in XR with Charlie Fink, Ted Schilowitz, and Robbie Fitz. I don't know that he's a Witz and he's a Fitz. I think that's the right pronunciation anyway. So there they are. We're only seeing half the screens here because of the way where my mouse is there is cutting off a little bit, but this is always kind of a good thing. If I was to preview that for you, you'd just scream because you have to put up with about a 3-minute Charlie Fink talking about a sponsor for the week. And given the number of views they got, then it's a bit corny. They obviously talk themselves into getting sponsorship, which is good. Earlier in the week, this was winning the AI Virtual Wars Hackathon. This is really a bit of a technical one, but I know a lot of people, especially if I the Mastodon feed, that would be very interested in this chat talking about what he was doing at the hackathon and resulted in him winning it. What we got? The big reveal. This is Amelia Kalman, the futurist. I sometimes send hers up. I sometimes don't. It really depends on what she's covering in the individual week's podcast, or well, actually, I think it's more like fortnightly or monthly. Looking at the recent innovations, basically from her research, and I don't know what I'm not. You'll have to check this one out actually, but I forget what the phoneless phone is. But it sounds rather intriguing. How do you make a phoneless phone? Anyway, and the VR Crewcast earlier in the week, which is as usual, has got just about everybody who is anybody in the.
It's just like meditation, but
therapeutic, right?
yeah, it really is therapeutic.
Some of the best times I have is before the show, and then
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. My best time is before the show goes on air. The worst time is when it's on air. Right.
Oh,
No, I am joking. So I wouldn't miss this show for the world. I just thoroughly enjoy doing it. And 3 days ago, God, there aren't quite a lot this week. Oh, there's some more Voices of VR that got through. No, Upload VR or VR Download
No.
or whatever it's
No.
called this week again. So I don't know what's happening to them. 2 weeks in a row, this is, with no actual. Well, there was a conference on during the week, but I don't think it, the next web or something, I don't think it was one that would have taken them away from the show. The site has had plenty of reviews in the week and incidental videos. Yeah, so Voices VR again, right. Oh, actually, a lot of them seem to have got up here after all, so I don't know how I managed to do that. I thought they'd all misfired. And then we're on the news from last week. Okay, so that's all on the embedded videos front, which leaves me with really just with Voices of VR. We looked at Mastodon. That's everything. I just have one short offline video, which is probably worth having a watch before we call it a wrap for this week. And this one is actually, well, you all know of Wi-Fi, and you may, if you follow this technology, I think we may have mentioned it a while back, something called Li-Fi. The difference is that Wi-Fi is short range, and it's a radio system. It can go through walls and things like that. It can't go, interestingly, if you've got something like a fridge freezer or metally sort of construction, you find that often blocks a Wi-Fi signal. For example, I have a room at the back of the apartment here which is obstructed by both a boiler and a fridge freezer. You can't see them because they're in different bits, but they stop the signal. The signal for Wi-Fi gets to the far left of the room and the far right of the room, but not the middle, because of you can put an extender in or something. And in fact, Li-Fi, as it's called, as you'll see, has one other limitation, even worse than Wi-Fi, and that is it needs line of sight, effectively, to transmit via light. But with that said, they reckon it's going to change the world, and has developed quite a lot. So I don't know what this actually is. I think it's about 3 Yeah, 3.5 minutes. So we'll close the show, as it were, by watching this, I think.
This lamp moves the internet down to your computer. It's called My Wi-Fi, and that sounds like Wi-Fi, except it does it without wireless radio. It uses light instead. If you have a TV remote, this is the same thing, but doing way more. It uses infrared to send the internet down to your computer, and then from your computer back up to the lamp, and then out to your router and to whatever website you're trying to use. So we're sitting here at CES, and we're going to try it out. This is my own laptop. I just turned Wi-Fi off. I don't have an internet connection, so I need to use this dongle. I'm going to plug it into my computer to the actual USB port, and they told me that I won't need to install anything. It should just work. So let me see if I can. Yeah, wait, it's blinking green right now, and I'm just going to go to The Verge. I think it's loading The Verge. Yeah, I just pulled up our website. It works. That's cool. There's supposed to be a few big benefits here. One is security, right? So instead of having a Wi-Fi network that somebody can tap into, there's just this infrared that is really short range. It's going from here to here, and it's going to be a lot harder to monitor what you're doing. They're also selling a pro version that encrypts all the traffic too. The other benefit is supposed to be health one, because there aren't radio waves. Now, very important to know that radio waves are not actually known to be harmful to the human body. So that's not really a benefit. But if you are a person who worries about these things, you know, the option is there. The downside, though, is that, at least for this initial version, it's very short range. This is a desk lamp, and if I move it too far away, you can see these lights start to go down to show that my signal is breaking. The company OLEDcom plans to introduce more lights over time. They're going to do ceiling lights and wall lights. And they imagine that eventually we'll be able to light up an entire room using these, and also, you know, get your internet that way, which will give you a little bit more range of movement. That might also hurt the security element a little bit, but it still won't go through walls, and so it's going to be confined to whichever room you have it set up in. For the time being, it seems like it is maybe best for like a really crazy business person who like wants a small range of movement and the security element. It's sort of weird because you could just plug an Ethernet jack into your computer, because that's really what this is. You see this yellow cable over here, that's just an Ethernet jack. It's actually powering the lamp too. The lamp itself is a pretty standard smart desk lamp. It can change between warm and cool color temperatures, so from bluer to more orange. You can set a timer to turn it on and off over time. You can also use an app to control when the internet connection is activated. That's actually kind of one of the weirder things. In order to manage the lamp, you need to use an app, and to use the app, you have to use your phone, which requires Wi-Fi. There's also a web app, so you could theoretically then go to a hardwired connection. But if you're trying to totally avoid Wi-Fi, that's just really not a possibility. So the selling point here is really security. You could just use an Ethernet cord instead, but there's something very neat about having this stylish lamp. My Wi-Fi is launching on Indiegogo. It's actually already live. You can go there and back it for $840 to get the lamp and the dongle. It's be available sometime later this year.
Okay, well, fascinating stuff. I mean, it could change things, as they say. I mean, if they ever come to distance thing, I can see having a powerful light in the center of a room that will replace. Well, you don't really have wires in Wi-Fi, but basically, the signals will go in light. And what he did mention at the beginning there, which he sort of dissed a bit later on, is that the light transmission for the data flowing from the light, which is basically a glorified local area network hub, to the dongle, you can't really break into that from a security point of view. The thing is, of course, somebody could technically hack the signal coming to the local area cable, or they might be able to get into your computer anyway. And as he says, you know, if you need a smartphone to operate the app and that has to be on Wi-Fi, then really, you know, the more he said, the more I was beginning to laugh and think, yeah, well, this is a lot of money for something that is in no way essential. But I actually, I've heard a lot of talk in the background over the last few years, really, of I don't know, the li-fi, lo-fi, and Wi-Fi. There's all sorts of variations that are, intended. I mean, you can't get our fiber optic cables transmit at the speed of light. That's what it's all about. But it's the fastest speed we know of. So being able to use light more intensively in the future could be quite valuable. And I do gather that a lot of satellites in orbit are now using light to send the signals back down to Earth, as opposed to other radio frequencies. They obviously use light for long distance. I think not the Hubble, the new telescope and things like that. They obviously have to use light. They're taking signals out of a light source because the light source is 3,000 years ago by the time it gets to us. Operating things at the speed of light could have a lot of implications, and they're also talking about its relevance to basically quantum mechanics and quantum computing when it comes along in force. So anyway, what would the show be without a little bit of tech to end up?
There you go. Right.
Maybe the emphasis on little bit. But of course, it's all part of a greater whole. James, your thoughts?
Not much. It is a very slow week. Maybe just everybody's taking a break, enjoying some time before the next big announcements or conference.
Indeed. Yeah, well, exactly. We have that HAI I mentioned. That's in October. There's OpenSim have OpenSim Fest in September. And nothing, probably something in November, but December, then there's the OpenSim Community Conference too. So yes, it all starts happening in the autumn. So we just make the best of our summer while we got it.
True. Right.
Yeah. Okay, well, I know you've got a party to get off with. I can even hear a hint of it.
Can
in
you
the
hear
back.
a little bit of it? Okay, yeah.
There we go. That is serious party if we can hear it all the way down there.
That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll let you get off to that, and we will wrap the show in anticipation. I won't say
All
goodbye
right.
until we're wrapped up. Bye. So we'll be back at the same time, same place next week, more or less. As you know, we go live at what is it? 10:30 a.m. Pacific on Sundays.
Yeah,
Which is
that sounds right to me.
6:30 a.m. 6:30 in the evening Pacific in the UK, and that means it's 7:30 Central European time. Okay, so I got that one out of the way. But you can always look up and play them back whenever you want at all. Just check out Mal Burns or Mal Burns Metaverse. Mal Burns Meta World or Mal Burns. Either of those will get through to me on YouTube, where they're all stored for the moment. Okay, so it's goodbye from me. Goodbye from James. Thank you for James. I should add, is operating all the camera angles and my desktop and everything else in the background. Thanks, James.
All the twiddling, right?
Yeah, exactly. And but he's probably more fidgety than usual because he's got to go and be the star of a party. Yes, I know.
I'm an
Right,
introvert.
okay.
I'm an introvert, man.
No,
So
that's why you're fiddling, nervous
Right.
fiddling. Got to
That's
go
right.
to the party. I get like that. What do you mean you want to stick me in a room full of people? I'm in the corner here, thank you. Oh dear. Right. It must be that song about always in the kitchen at parties or something. But I don't know. You won't get me in the kitchen either. Anyway, I won't talk about. I'm about to rabbit hole again, so I shall resist. I should jump out of the rabbit hole and go springing off into the distance, leaving you lot behind me. Until next week, that is.
lovely. Yeah.
Okay, so thanks for watching, everybody. Keep healthy, keep well, and if you are in a hurricane or a heat, by the way, if you're in a heat wave, West Coast America, Europe, anywhere at the moment, really, it's best to stay indoors, otherwise your blood will boil. Put it mildly.
Or for us, the wildfire smoke will harm your lungs. It's like 6 packs of cigarettes a day.
I forget whether it's in the States on the West Coast or in Italy, but they pulled in
Italy,
some.
they shut down. Yeah, they shut down the Acropolis.
Oh no, it's not that. They
Oh,
hospitalized somebody with third-degree burns.
oh no. Okay.
That's just from the sun
Mm,
exposure. Third-degree burns. That's
yikes.
the heavy ones, you know.
Miserable.
Like,
Yeah.
that's like what you get when they burn you at the stake.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. So remember though, if you have to stay indoors, I don't air conditioning. Some of you have it. We don't have it in Britain, but you know, a fan, get the breeze as much as you can,
Right.
and don't forget, you got the M word. In other words, you've got lots of immersive spaces and virtual worlds and things you can do on screen, and that require you not to go out at all in that blazing heat or in the blazing. Here in Britain, we haven't got the heat yet. Instead, we've got hurricane-like winds, and, and still hot and muggy, but hurricane-like winds. And sort of, you don't want to open the window because it it blows everything, blows everything down. You know.
Gracious.
So yeah. Climate change, eh? Okay, not to be too pessimistic, we've got to go. We've got to go. James has a party, and I have not got a party, but never mind. Poor me. We'll see you next week, and it's a wrap.